see that big white condominium building behind me? That's an example of the confusing state of affairs here in the condominium market in Bangkok. It's very confusing. A week ago, there was a big gray, dark shroud that covered that whole building. The kind of shroud that you see on construction projects. The safety shroud, I guess it's called. Well, that came down just a few days ago. Now, what I find a little bit amazing about that is that we are not even completely opened up yet in Bangkok around the whole COVID crisis. International borders are still closed, and while things are starting to get back to normal here in Bangkok, they're certainly not all the way back. But yet they're continuing to build condominiums. They're all over the place. When I arrived in Bangkok 4 years ago, I was surprised at the amount of building that was going on, and I then learned that there's a glut of apartments, but yet the building continues. Someone who's grown up in the United States like me and has a sense of economics that are reliant on supply and demand, well, I'm totally confused by what's going on here. Now, I'm standing in front of yet another project. This project, the Piki project, is a new condominium project that began about 1.5 years ago. I'm familiar with it because the back of the building where I live adjoins the property. It was a parking lot when I moved here. Now, they put this building up here, this very nice building. It's a sales office with a model apartment in it. And that went up very quickly, and then construction stalled. And then during the crisis, during the COVID crisis, I became convinced that construction wouldn't restart again, only because the demand has fallen off. You have to understand, a lot of the buyers of these condominiums are foreign buyers, primarily Chinese, and they're no longer coming into the country because of the lockdown borders. But yet the construction continues. I'm kind of confused by that. And then if you take a walk just 5 minutes down the road back this way, you'll find yet another building that opened up about 2 years ago. So today I'm going to look at the confusing condo market. Now, here's the good news for people like me. If you're a renter, the glut of apartments available in Bangkok keeps rents really low. So that's advantageous. And today I'm going to go look at a condominium building that I find kind of interesting. It's not in the center of town. And, well, let's go take a ride out there. So I'm boarding the train, the light rail system here in Bangkok, the BTS system. There are two systems in Bangkok, the MRT and the BTS. The BTS transverses most of the city, heavily used. I live near the Ekamai station, and today we're heading out to Khe Ha. Khe Ha is in that direction. And if you go to the end of the line, Khe Ha being the last station, you will be in a world much different than what expats might be used to in central Bangkok, where there are way more expats. I'm going to call them Nigels. I got that name from my friend Ronan Man. He has a video channel, kind of a men's advice channel. That's kind of nice. And he inspired me to do a video channel of my own. So I'm just giving him a shout out here. I'll put a link to his video at the end of this video if you're interested in taking a look at him. He does long form kind of advice channel for men, although he has women who follow him as well. He's a good dude. And I got the name Nigel from him. Nigel is a representation of basically white people in Bangkok. So the Nigels are down in that direction toward the center of town. We're going the other way. We're going out to look at a condominium building that I found out there that I'm really interested in. I may even rent an apartment in it. We'll see. Depends on how things play out over the opening up of the economy and borders and all of that kind of stuff. If you go all the way to Khe Ha, well, Guess what? There's another video you can check out for that as well. That's right, by a guy named Chad at CB Media. I'll put a link up to one of his videos at the end as well. He's a cool guy. Learned a lot from him about video channels as well. So I just got off the BTS at the Chang Arawan station. It's not the end of the line. If you want to go to the end of the line, you continue going in that direction until you reach Khe Ha. So I think I want to be on YouTube. Okay, no reply. So I thought it was a really good idea one day to travel to the end of this line, because as you go in that direction, you get further and further away from the metropolitan part of Bangkok into a more, we'll call it suburban part of the city. Again, no Nigels. And I thought, wow, that might make a nice video. And what happened is my YouTube colleague, Chad from CB Media, jumped the gun and beat me to it, and he made a video about it. And that's the video I'll try to find and put at the end of this video, so if you want to watch it. It is an interesting place to go see because it is a very Thai area. If you like living around English-speaking Nigels, you probably wouldn't like it out there. But it's very suburban. Not many high-rise buildings, local kind of neighborhood, local food. It is interesting, but again, you're not going to find any foreigners there. I got off at Chang Arawan a while back because this building, this complex, got my attention. It stands out a little bit. There are many complexes similar to this around Bangkok, but as you travel in this direction, there are less and less of them until you get here to Chang Arawan, and all of a sudden you see this gigantic things sticking up out of the weeds, so to speak. Because if you look all around it, this property is adjacent to undeveloped land. Now, I don't know who owns the undeveloped land, what's going to happen to it, if it's a park, but it is natural landscape, natural Thailand landscape, and it goes all the way up to the river. So I found it interesting, and I got off here and went in and looked at a couple of apartments, and come on, I'll show you around. Now, one of the first attractive features of this particular apartment, it is mere steps away. I just stepped off the BTS stairway, and as you'll see in a moment, it's a matter of steps that you walk into the property ground. Now, why is that important? Because walking around Bangkok can be irritating in crowded places. Motorbikes up on the sidewalk, just, crowds, that type of thing. And it often rains here. Rains for about 6 months a year, actually, sometimes quite heavily. So if you're traveling, it's good to be close to the entrance to the BTS. It's just a convenience. And it's a convenience that you generally pay for. Well, here we are. I've arrived already. It's the Aspire Arawan. And it's typical of the kinds of apartments that you find around Bangkok. Once inside, you're in a covered walkway. It's like you're in a different world here. It immediately begins to become a little more quiet as the noise of Sukhumvit Road fades behind. Nicely landscaped. Again, it's typical of condominium complexes around here. The apartments that I looked at here were considered one bedrooms. They were really studio alcoves, is what we would call them back in New York. And they were about 30 square meters, which is about 350 square feet. They're not huge. They're efficiency apartments. They have appliances included. They're okay, they're nice. The key is the price was 10,000 baht per month. That's about $340 US dollars. So that makes it attractive. They're cheap, they're nice, they're cheap, and they're loaded with amenities. It has a beautiful pool, has a nice gym. As a matter of fact, it has a couple of gym facilities, which weren't crowded when I saw them, when I examined the place. It has a rooftop patio that you can go up and have a cup of coffee or whatever you want to do up there. Go up with your computer. Has good Wi-Fi. Has all the amenities of a modern condominium complex for $340 a month. When I first started traveling around Asia, I lived in two cities. I lived in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam and here in Bangkok. I had a place in each because I could afford it. I mean, I'm not wealthy. I have a nice income and I do okay, but you know, I couldn't afford to have 2 apartments in any kind of Western cities. Here in Asia, you could do that. Like I said, it's not a bad place. Oh, by the way, parking is available too if you have a car. But again, what intrigued me about this place is not so much the facility, because it's typical of many facilities, but the price, because it's a bit out of town. It's a 20-minute train ride out of town. And it's cheap. So the sales agent wasn't in. She would have had been called in from home, and I didn't want to do that because I'm not really going to rent. I don't want to make her go out of her way. Got to remember, we're right at the end of the whole COVID lockdown, so business is not as normal. I guess they were just letting her work from home unless needed here, and I didn't want to call her in. If you want to see the kind of apartments that they have in a place like this, you can find them all over YouTube. I don't want to say that all of them are the same, but they kind of are. Oh, I can't get, oh, there we go. But they kind of are all the same, or very similar at any rate. What makes these apartments, they're between 26 and 30 square meters. Most are furnished, some aren't. You can find an unfurnished one if you like. They can come with required appliances, refrigerator, a stove top, and a microwave. What makes the buildings nice, they're efficiency apartments, good for single guys like me. And what makes them attractive are the amenities, the pool, the gym, the patio places. And what's nice about this, there is a convenience store, 7-Eleven, right on the grounds. There is, important for me, a coffee shop, at least there was. Maybe they closed down during COVID. Yeah, it's not here. Oh no, wait, here it is. I need to live near coffee shops. It's I'm addicted to requirement. So we have a nice coffee shop here. I'm sure you can get a decent cappuccino in there. And right across the street, if you can see those umbrellas, is a nice little local food market. I'll go take a look at that a little later. What I came here today to look at for myself was the surrounding area, the property around this building, because I just find that intriguing. There's all this natural landscape that surrounds the whole complex on that side. This is Sukhumvit. Although it's pretty rural looking on the other side of Sukhumvit as well. Like I said, we're no longer in the center of town here. We are out in the boonies as far as the city goes. This is as boondocky as you're going to get. And I like that. I have all the amenities I need here. Now remember, I speak a little bit of Thai. I've gotten really good with Google Translate. Although the Thai people aren't that good with Google Translate. I found the Vietnamese are much better with Google Translate. You can have conversations with people in Vietnam just using Google Translate. The trick with Google Translate is you keep your statements simple, no adjectives, where is bus, something like that. It translates it into the language, say Thai, that you want to translate it into. Then copy the translated version and retranslate it to see what Google thinks it is. If you do that, you can have some success with it. I have. I've been traveling around Asia for 10 years. Now I'm kind of good with languages. I picked up a lot of phrases in a bunch of different Asian languages, which is helpful, but it's not necessary. Google will get you through. I kind of like living away from the nightclubs. I didn't come here to live with Nigels. I could have done that back in the States. That is a very typical Thai set of houses. On the ground floor, it's not open now because it's early in the day, is a street side restaurant where I've eaten dinner before. And down that street, you'll find Thai shops of all descriptions. If you came to Thailand to learn about Thailand, you can start doing it in a place like this. I mean, it gets more, or I guess, less modern in first world and other places in Thailand. But here in Bangkok, it's hard to find an area that is inhabited by mostly Thai people that live in kind of more traditional Thai ways. And you do get a sense of that here. And I do find that attractive. Like I said, that's why I came to Asia, is to see how different cultures live. So I'm going to go see if I can find that that undeveloped area that I'm interested in. So if I were to decide to take an apartment in the Aspire condominium building here at the Chang Arawan stop of the BTS line, I would have all the modern amenities of a building such as that, plus the shops that are nearby for convenience items, and 7-Eleven and a coffee shop that would be right within steps of my doorway. And in my backyard, you have the countryside. Apparently, that undeveloped land isn't completely undeveloped. It's just old. There's a network of these pathways running through here. These waterways surround it. I guess this area would qualify as a delta. It is near the mouth of the Chao Phraya River. It's not far from here. It empties into the ocean, not too far from here. So this probably does qualify as a delta. And there are people living here. People have been here a long time, apparently. At least the houses have. So these would be my neighbors. So you want to live in the city and be a city boy, but be close to the country? Well, here you go. So here's another really big selling point to the big old condo next to the undeveloped land that we just took a look at. It's 3 train stops, 3 subway stops away from a great big mall with a lot of modern amenities, a Tops Market, Starbucks, one of my personal favorites is Swenson's, and it's nearby. It's very easy to get to. It took me about 12 minutes to get from the condominium to the mall where I am now. In case you noticed, there's a little something different about me. Stomping around in the jungle in the tropical heat got me so sweaty I had to get a t-shirt. I had to take, my shirt was just soaked through and I didn't want to be walking around the mall looking like that. So I bought a t-shirt that cost $8. It's kind of expensive for Thailand. And there are some nice places to eat here. There's a KFC, you have the Starbucks, there's a bunch of other fast food style restaurants here. But there's also a food court if you're a local shopper like me. And I just got myself a steak, French fries, and a small salad. Great big Diet Pepsi. All for 100 baht, about $3. It's a good deal. So I'm putting up in the ending segment below 2 videos, one for Ronin Man and one for Chad, whose his video channel is CB Media. They're 2 of my favorite YouTube guys that I know here from Thailand. They've been an inspiration for me, and they have interesting channels, and they're nearly as handsome and charming as I am. Check them out. I'll see you at the next time.